Okay. Happy 4th of July. Oh, what do we have here? Is this a Native American or is this a Native Creole? Hmm. So before I start this video, I wanted to share a quote from a very wise Native indigenous person. And I love this quote, and I'm going to show it to my therapist tomorrow because she told me that I give 95% of myself to others and only leave 5% for myself. What's up, Murdo Ichigo? Don't know how to say it. Um, you know, she's looking after my best interests, I believe, and feels that sometimes I overextend. And I haven't ever found anything until now that um, is contrary to that I could bring to her as a, hey, I get it. You feel like I'm overextending and I help more people than I do myself. Um, but this is the quote: nothing in nature lives for itself. River don't drink their own water. Trees don't eat their own fruit. The sun doesn't shine for itself. Flower don't spread fragrance for themselves. And the final nugget of wisdom: living for others is the rule of nature. So that's what I wanted to start out with. And here is the beginning of the stream. All right, main screen, camera. Hey, Irma. Everybody hear me all right? Levels look good on my end. I just always ask. Um, Dawn's here. Is there a way to see who's in the chat? I've never seen that. Um, Today's video is one that I filmed or with my phone. Most of my videos when I started publishing from 2015 and on, I just did from my phone. Commodore remembers this video. And that quote in the beginning seems to have some relevance to this. And I reviewed it just before the broadcast, and I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to say about it. And I may not say much about it. This video is not on my channel, and the only way to see it is to, you know, either watch this stream or watch it later after it's posted. Um, Ah, thank you, Glitter. See participants. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's great. I learned something new. Thank you, Glitter. But when I go back to the chat, it's empty. Oh no, it's not. It populated. Okay, so the original title of this video was The Girl Next Door, A Story About You and How You Can Make a Difference. It's 21 minutes and 55 seconds long. Alright, I'll see if I can do it full screen without messing up losing my place. We'll just check it for sound real quick.
It's full on summertime.
It's full on summertime. Everyone heard that? Look at look at where I paused it. Look at my eyes. I mean, I'll give you a little, uh, perspective as to. Oh my God! During this time, I was not getting enough sleep. I was not eating right. I had cancer. I was doing I was I'd either start. No, I don't think I'd started the GoFundMe yet. Uh, and so far as I know, jumping forward just a little bit briefly, the GoFundMe that I did through the Aftermath supporters was one of the last ones before the Aftermath Foundation was established. Uh, you think that's cute, Irma? I mean, look at these eyeballs. They're just swimming in my head. I'm not even on drugs, you know. I mean, smoke some Chiba, but I think it's just the frame. Yeah, 'cause look immediately. But I tell you, like fighting fighting cancer and dealing with cancer is just hell. And I was also dealing with a divorce at this time, a very high conflict divorce. Um, that even Scientology would have been proud of how my ex-wife sued me and made all these allegations and ruined my career and my financial whatever everything I had recovered financially from Scientology up to that point. It was just wiped. I lost all my vehicles. This house in the background is a trailer that we bought whenever we got married, and is on family land. So, and it was unoccupied, so I would stay there when I was in town. All right.
I got bit by some spiders and bugs and stuff. Wanted to tell a little story about the girl next door. In 1995, we moved, Cowboy and I moved from here.
Cowboy is the nickname of my stepfather, for those who don't know. And I haven't done the self-analysis on the 3 videos I did on Cowboy yet, because that was a breaking point for me when I had realized that not only had I been through Scientology, but like my entire life was lived under an oppressive family cult with a lot of domestic violence and disconnection.
To the place where he and my mother live now. and the man living next door had 3 daughters. And this is not a joke. It starts out like a joke. 3 daughters. One had no leg. One was whatever.
A leper.
Anyways, we we went to school together, and for a week, I think we dated. It was we were kids, and it just I don't know, whatever. We're kids. It's like you break up, you date somebody, you break up, whatever. Um, Back around the time it was after the we got the kids back. Uh, she asked me if I wanted to go have a drink, and she had been dating this guy who was in the military, and she found him uh, dead. He shot himself in the head, and they had a fight the night before, a really bad fight, and she felt really guilty. she
Right. I thought that might have happened. So all I said was that I know now that the way to refer to him was retired military. Military indicates active, and then former, depending on who you ask, means they either are KIA or MIA or yeah. Um, so retired military. I've been schooled is the correct thing to say. Doug is calling me. I'm in the middle of a stream. Should I answer it? I'm gonna answer it.
Hey man.
Hey man, I'm live right now, and you are
Oh, you
too.
are?
Yeah. Say hi to everybody.
Oh, Jesus, you tricked me, you bastard. I told you I'd only call you unless it was important too. Hey, well, are you live? Let me
I'm
call you.
live right now. We're live. We're on the stream.
Okay. Yeah, it's nice of people. Yeah, oh yeah, I see your live. Oh, dare you pick up when you're live.
Well,
Okay.
I,
Just kidding. This is cool, bro. Okay,
Irma
Glitter.
says hi.
Who's
Glitter
saying
says
hi to me?
hi.
What's up, Glitter?
Um,
Marcus, can you hear? Can they hear me on the stream? Can you put the
I
phone
have
on
no.
speaker?
I have. I mean, I'm on speaker. I don't know if they can hear, but I
Okay,
am on
they need to
speaker.
relay some data, man. Oh, dude, I want to say hi to everybody. Uma, who's also known as Dawn, what's up?
Yep.
Elron in the house.
Yep.
What's going down? This is all just you're gonna have to repeat it.
Naturism, glitterfly, glitter butterfly, or glitter flutterby.
Marcus, you know why I'm calling you, right?
No,
You don't?
no.
You can't take any guess what it would be about?
Oh, probably someone named Tony.
Don't say it. You said it. Hey man, why don't you let everybody know that please stop emailing me and hitting
Okay.
me up with a zero dark Tony.
Okay.
A wise person. I know all about him. Me and Marcus are discussing, and you have nothing to worry about. But let's just say the guy opens up many rabbit holes, not least what I try to touch on my channel. A statement will be coming in the future.
Okay. Well, I think they can hear you, so you know. L. Ron Hubbard says get back on post. I already commented all of Div 7, so.
Shit, man, we're not just slinging out horse shit. Some of these things take time to prepare, dude. I can't go live every day at this point, but we're working on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me get back to
Yeah,
it, man.
yeah, do your stream, dude.
All right, dude. Love you, man.
All right, later, man. Love
Bye.
you too. Bye.
Okay. You just can't resist sometimes. All right. No, Hubbard, this is not the one where I went back to the org. Um, this is something completely different. This is more non Scientology related, but at the same time, very much related to recovery. Um, so I feel it's relevant, and it's for 4th of July. Hey, I don't really celebrate it. The heritage and stuff that I've got is a little different. So, which I'm always peeling back layers of the onion in my life. It's just never ending. But yeah, I am native Creole, so uh, the whole Independence Day has kind of changed in meaning for me. And let's continue.
She tried to take her own life, ended up in the hospital.
Let's go back.
She felt really guilty. A really bad fight.
Okay, so a good friend of mine from high school uh, contacted me, wanted to have a drink.
And
It was the girl next door. I grew up from 1995 to when I left, which wasn't very long, but she was kind of the girl next door. Like when we had problems or whatever, we'd just go outside and talk and share our teenage problems. We also rode to school together every day.
she felt really guilty. She tried to take her own life.
So her boyfriend and her had a fight. Um, from my recollection, they had a fight on the phone, and he was suicidal, and she told him to just do it, to commit suicide. And when she arrived at his house, he had done it. And she felt so guilty that she attempted to take her own life.
Ended up in the hospital for weeks. And this was several months after that happened. And so I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go have a couple drinks. And I mean, we rode to school together a lot in high school until I got emancipated and left the house. Um, but it was just, we just small talk. It wasn't anything, we weren't like best friends or nothing. And so I was a little surprised that she wanted to go have a beer or hang out, because she's not really a social person. She goes to work, she goes home. Um, she had children very young, and um, she just focused on that. So we had lost touch for a long time.
High school pregnancy rate at my high school was very, very high.
And we go to this little Irish bar, a little Irish pub, and it was kind of clear that she had some things to say to me. And because she was just sitting there, like, nervously looking at me, and we ordered the beers, and knowing her, I mean, like I said, we weren't best friends or anything, but I knew her personality.
I'm not even. I gotta turn. I gotta remember to do the mic thing. The reason this was sort of weird to me at the time was, it wasn't uncommon for me to reconnect with people from my past and high school and whatnot through Facebook and everything. But this was someone who I was close to in high school, and There's no way we've been going an hour. Um, the most of the time, those people that I would reconnect with, we go out and have drinks, whatever, and then that would be that, and um, or we'd use friend groups to reconnect with other friends. But this was someone who was always a loner and had a pretty crazy domestic life with her folks. Her mother had a lot of mental illness, and and there were three sisters, so she was one of the three sisters. They all got traumatized, through the mental psychotic breaks that her mother would have, and so she was sitting there and just kind of like, of course, all of the things that I had just said, she had just went through, and she was just now getting out back into the world, wasn't working again yet, but was about to go back to work. Um, and it was like the cat had her tongue, and she had, so it was like the reason I think she wanted to go have a drink was to, you know, socially lubricate enough to where she could spit it out. I definitely sensed that.
And knowing her personality, I could sense the unease that she had, social awkwardness, and she told me that she had some things to tell me, and I was very distraught. I'd already lost a bunch of weight. I was sad a lot because I had to be supervised to see my own kids and all that.
Luckily, this judge allowed my mother to be the supervisor for the visitation, so it wasn't as painful as it could have been. Um, Although being accused of beating and raping your 1 and 3 year old child and your wife, and being a drug dealer, and never making any money, and on and on and on and on, and being sued for divorce. Um, it in a smaller community, even though Lake Charles isn't that small, it kind of destroyed my career. So yeah, I was not in a good place when all this was happening.
And she told me some of the most wonderful things about myself, gave me a bunch of compliments. She started out by saying, um, I wanted to I wanted to tell you some things that I've noticed about you in all the time that we've known each other. And I'm like, okay. So she tells me all these things. She tells me that she admires me for a lot of different reasons. She told me that she admired that I never um, well, being that she lived next door, and that she knew a lot of the things that had gone on. This is a teenager, you tell some of your friends like, oh, things are so messed up.
So one of these things that she knew was that I met my brother Travis when I was 14, and she knew that Ira had sort of forced that situation upon my mother, and also uh, that her family kind of just went along with it. And and by this point, there had also been several aggravated assaults with firearms, and so she knew about that. And she knew about the Scientology because she had watched she watched that first video that I did.
Things might be, and they might not be. You know, it's a teenage thing. Um, but I guess in my case, it did kind of hit home with her. She had some similar issues with her mother, and so I'm trying to remember exactly how she put it. Um, and it's hard for me to describe why it meant so much coming from her. I guess because we hadn't talked in years and we hadn't hung out in years. Um, so I wasn't aware that she was aware of anything I had done or how I'd lived my life or whatever. Um, but she told me that I was that she admired uh, that I survived, you know, in spite of everything, and that was something that she thought about in the hospital.
This absolutely mock. Um, the thing that really surprised me is that she told me that she was thinking about me in the hospital. You know, when she's kind of dying. Um, you don't. I never would have expected that from her to hear that. I mean, I don't know if I would expect to hear that from anybody except for someone like my, close friends or my family, my mother or somebody, very deeply connected. So for her to say that she was thinking about me while she's like in the hospital with IVs in her arms and is like not sure if she's going to live or die after the trauma she experienced. What is it that made her think about that? It's still kind of, it's still a mystery to me. Yeah, Poe, that's where we're going with this, and this is. I hope that it reaches and indicates to everybody by the end of this that you never really can know how you'll affect people, and so that's important to consider. Uh, let's continue.
And it came up in, I guess, the group sessions or whatever. And if there's one thing I always try to be, it's humble, because I don't feel like it's right to boast about things. Um, for instance, someone who helps someone, I don't feel like it's right to go around saying, oh, well, I helped that person, they owe me. That's a skink.
Skinks aren't native to that area. I'm getting better about the mic. Skinks aren't native to that area, and that was the sound of a skink. It became an invasive species. I think kind of came from Texas. Uh, Sounds like a frog, but it's this weird little skink. Um, and I find it so curious and fascinating that the skink started making noise after something that I said that I think is it's not something that I came up with, but It's sort of a virtue. Let's go back.
It's right about things. Um, for instance, someone who helps someone.
So, perfect example for me. Anyone in the chat will have different examples, but for me, my stepfather created this help debt for everyone in the family, and he always wanted everyone to know, oh, if it wasn't for me, he would play it down, but he would be like, oh yeah, well, you know that I helped him with that, right? Indicating that without him, you are less. And so that's kind of what I'm saying is that if you're going to help somebody, you know, don't be filming it and then say, you know, and then put it on social media and say, and then act like you're some sort of humanitarian. Hey Tish, Xenu, my friend. Um, if you're going to help somebody, help them for the right reason. Okay, make sure my mic was on and I wasn't talking into nothing.
I don't feel like it's right to go around saying, oh, well, I helped that person, they owe me. That's a skink. And I think he agrees with me. It's not natural, I mean, you help somebody, then God bless you. He agrees with that too.
Something that surprisingly moved me about my bully reaching out, that she was grateful for my kindness when she was dealing with the stuff she went through, even though she hurt me. It's normal to me. Um, well, Irma, perhaps I've got the species wrong. Uh, it looks like a salamander. It's not a salamander. It sounds like a frog. It's not a frog. Um, we'll take that up a little later, maybe at the end. Yeah, poet. That's what virtue signaling really is. It's an overused word like narcissism, and it gets to when people overuse words. This is my own opinion, hot take, but when people overuse words in pop culture and general population starts to get used to these words, they lose their true meaning, and we lack the understanding, and it just becomes part of the lexicon. And we're like, oh yeah, they're a narcissist. Oh yeah, that's narcissistic behavior. This is virtue signaling, and it dilutes every person who is possible. Like if there is someone who's virtue signaling, if the language and everyone's saying, oh, virtue signaling is happening everywhere, well then you can't really, you know, look at that specific example and see. Just like if someone's, oh, they're narcissists, so fuck them. You know, yes, everyone has narcissistic traits. Everyone has an ego. But to say that someone is a narcissist or a malignant narcissist is quite a stretch. It really is quite a stretch. Like, there are very few, in terms of true narcissists, um, it may be as close, it may be like Hubbard said SPs were. They're a very small percentage. Yes, everyone has an ego. Yes, everyone to some degree is looking out for themselves and thinking about themselves. But if you factor that on a percentage basis, if someone's 20% narcissist and 80% not, well, these days, from my observation, it seems that people will if there's that even 20% narcissism, they'll say they're a narcissist and completely write off all of the other 80%. I feel that that is a disservice. I don't feel like that's right. It's just my opinion, but um, yeah, I think that's an accurate definition of virtue signaling, poet. Um, the look at how blank I am. Look at how benevolent I am. Look at how kind I am. Look at how giving I am. Um, yeah, virtue signaling. Moving on.
There's no need to boast about it. So it was quite overwhelming because she had a lot. I didn't get a word in for about 20, 30 minutes. She went through a lot of. Uh, she talked about a lot of things that I have been through, that she knew about, and this is someone who I felt had been through, especially recently, had been through an incredible amount of severe trauma. And I'm looking at her like, wow, you are a survivor.
Yeah, this is a real. Like, I was shocked. As I said, she wanted to tell me some things, and it was very difficult. Like I said, Kat had her tongue. She had her drink. She had to finish her full beer. And it was so awkward because we're just sitting there, and she's kind of like she's got a whole chamber to unload. And once she starts, I'm just sitting there like blown back, like whoa. Because this is, in my perspective, this is a friend of mine who nearly died, who just experienced and saw her partner's brains blown out all over the chair he was in, and she told him to do it. She was sick of hearing him talk about it. She said, "You know what? Just do it." And he did it, and she found him. I can't even imagine. And for that person to be sitting across the table from me and telling me, uh, I admire you, I think that you're a survivor, it was quite overwhelming and surreal.
And she's telling me that I'm a survivor and that somehow I helped her. It had a big effect on me. That was that was like not even a year into the divorce and all of the proceedings, and it gave me a renewed sense of like confidence.
Someone already said validation uh, during difficult times is. I'm trying to find it in the chat, but oh yeah, validation in a vulnerable situation is important. So yeah, why is it important? I mean, I can't give a definitive answer that would really satisfy myself, so I'm not even gonna try. That's what this video is for.
And purpose, because it came from a person who I know uh, had experienced some serious trauma and even was considering taking her own life and was, determined to do it. So she's lucky she survived. Now the thing is, the girl next door ain't the only person who's told me that throughout my life. I've had a lot of people tell me that.
That includes Doug.
Why am I saying it? Seems contradictory because it's like when you help somebody, God bless you, right? So why am I talking about it? Well, in the last 2 months, there have been people that have helped me. I don't even know. Some of them I've talked to, some of them I've messaged, some of them have messaged me. Uh, Many of them comment on my videos and show an enormous amount of love and support. But I couldn't begin to tell you the amount of people who have told me throughout my life, you've really helped me. And I don't mean to sound silly about that, because in reality, those 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 are intimate, serious, what's the word? Legitimate thanks.
So, speaking of virtue signaling, because I'm so overly critical, like I look at this and I'm like, is this video just me virtue signaling to people? I have to consider that. Um, but I'm exploring these ideas, and at this time, during this time when I was making videos, I was really exploring myself again after a lifetime of suppressing so much and blocking so much. Um, Almost every time that I would put this phone in front of me and make a video, I had no planned message. Almost every one. I would just sit and talk and let my. Sometimes I would sit and meditate before and then just press record and then upload it. So it really is just sort of me working through it, trying to work through it on my own.
And I don't think twice about it, really, or haven't, didn't. I guess I am now because I'm talking about it, but um, the point.
I want to take that up what Poet said, and what Irma said. The concept validation has become overused and has lost its effect. But validation is important because if I'm guessing if real and honest is the opening of the heart in recognition of each other. And I agree with that. I don't think validation is as like deadened or numbed as narcissism, uh, or virtue signaling. But I do agree, like the overuse of these words kind of cheapens them. And then Poet said the fact that you even consider the fact and are vocal about it should tell you that you're not. Now, I have been told that by therapists, and I have read that in books, and I have seen that in videos where people talk about, are you a narcissist? Here's how to know. And you know, none of it indicates. But here's something that I would like to present is that if you're really good at being a completely megalomaniac, sociopath, narcissist, that you would consider beforehand that that would be considered, so that in order to cover, in other words, in order to cover your bases so that you're not exposed as a narcissist, then you would do something like this. It's horrifying to me. It's been something that I've talked to my therapist about for years, because I am terrified that I am possibly unknowingly this massive narcissist, massive egomaniac, and that I've been programmed to be that way, and there's no way consciously I can ever know it. And that would be my, it's not a strong argument, but it's just something to consider about that, because my stepfather, yeah, the ultimate manipulator, dinosaur. Um, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah, but that's something that has terrified me for a long time, especially getting out of Scientology, because sometimes I wonder, like, am I doing this for my own selfish purposes? Because if I was, and I know how effective Scientology is, I might not even freaking know it. Maybe I'll do HG Tutor's test. Um, that might be a good idea. But I've done a lot of tests, and you know, like I said, everyone has narcissism, but it's a matter of how much. My Myers-Briggs last time I checked was INFJ. So whatever that
Is you can be
I'm sorry, ENFJ.
that person that makes a big difference in someone's life. And that may sound cliche, and it may sound, um, you may have heard it a million times. One person can make all the difference.
This is where Poet already preempted this, the sort of what I think is the core takeaway from the video. Let's go backtrack a little bit.
Um, you may have heard it a million times. One person can make all the difference. And you may take it with a grain of salt, just like I have for so long.
It's hard to believe that one person can make a difference, especially if if you are a one person or the one person. It's hard to imagine the effect that is created by one person that can have a chain reaction, the butterfly effect, whatever you want to call it. But I had recently in this video experienced that.
But it is true. You can be a person just being you. Because there was, like I said, the girl next door, we didn't really have much of a friendship or anything. I mean, it was we carpooled to school together. Um, and we had a couple mutual friends. Maybe they, you know, told her about some of the things I'd gone through, but I never did because we never talked. And as far to my knowledge, no one prompted her to invite me to go do anything, because she's not the kind of person that she I love this about her. She's the kind of person that if someone like tries to prompt her to do something, she's like, nope. Now that you said for me to do it, I'm not going to do it. She's a very rebellious type. So I know that this was her own idea, because you're not going to put an idea in her head. She talked about her kids, whenever because after her suicide attempt, she lost access to her kids. And she told me I had a lot to be thankful for and a lot to live for, regardless of what was going on.
Someone who just, came from the edge of death, who was thinking about you while they were dying and telling you that you got a lot to live for and a lot to be thankful for in a time where it felt like my whole world was crushing me. It's a lot to take in, and you all considering the source always, because we were in our mid 30s. We hadn't spoken in a long time. We hadn't even really hung out or done anything in years. And so the source itself is part of what made such a deep impact.
And let me tell you that one person, unlikely person, made a big difference. So never forget that. That's my message. One person can make all the difference in a positive way or a negative way. And don't let a person who you may have respect for or feel some sense of debt towards affect you in a negative way, because that's really your decision to make, whether you allow that to happen or not, as hard as that is to deal with, because you may have a person you respect a lot that isn't any good for you when it comes to helping. There's all kinds of different help. And many celebrities will tell you that money doesn't help. You have all the money you want, you still got the same problems. Jim Carrey's a good example of that. He talks about it a lot because he's had a lot of problems. Different people may need different kinds of help. So, I don't know. I just wanted to share that story about the girl next door and how she helped me. And it was so unlikely and it was so random. But I was in a real bad place mentally. And she had been too recently. And I'd argue that she was dealing with a lot more stress and stuff than I was. But yet she told me that I helped her somehow. So never discount or discredit your own experience and insight into your own life and the decisions that you make. And
I can tell you that prior to that conversation, and prior to me processing it, because I did the video after, I don't know how long after we spoke, but what I just said here is not something I would have said prior to that conversation.
counter discredit. But yet she told me that I helped her somehow. So never discount or
This part right here.
discredit your own experience.
Never discount or discredit your own experience. That's what I learned from that. Never do that. In my experience, when you do that, you're opening the door for doubt, for someone else to take advantage of your doubt of yourself and then sort of get in either the back seat or even the driver's seat of your life and start dictating your decisions.
An insight into your own life and the decisions that you make and how they affect other people and their perception of themselves. Because one person can make all the difference. That's what I got. Um, Speaking of help, if you can help me out, I'm almost got enough to get a vehicle. And a friend of mine told me there was an opening at the school board for.
So I guess it's pertinent to point out that at this time there was a GoFundMe going on that some of the supporters of the aftermath, before the aftermath was established, there were GoFundMe's on the supporters of the aftermath group. There were two others that I knew of. One was a girl who was in the Sea Org. The other was Sandrine Litchfield. And then there was mine, which was last as far as I know. I think that was the last GoFundMe before the Aftermath Foundation was established. And um, I had posted it in the group with permission of Aaron. And then he had posted it like a couple days or a week later. And some money came in, and I was at the time, this was my former trailer, but I didn't really live there. Like I had left because um, domestic troubles with my stepfather that would, historically get into physical things, like I said, aggravated assaults and stuff like that. So I wanted to make sure that I kept myself safe, but I also, part of it was making sure that I stayed healthy, because the stress of dealing with that domestic stuff, I could literally feel it making my conditions worse physically. Cancer is, basically any doctor will tell you inflammation is the core culprit for so many things, including cancer, up to and including cancer. And I'm sure you can kind of see I'm much skinnier at this time. I'd already been taking some of the drugs they had been giving me, and they were wreaking havoc on my body. And the mental stress and psychological stress that was being put on me, and pressure that I was under, not just from Scientology, but from my own family, was pretty extreme. And so I was bouncing from place to place. I needed a vehicle in order to go get medical evaluations here in New Orleans. Um, and I still wanted to see my kids, so I needed a way to go back and forth. I had a place in New Orleans to stay with a friend, and would I would carefully time and coordinate with my mother when I could go to the trailer, and without my stepdad knowing. Because if he knew I was there, then he would try to confront me, and it would be it would be a confrontation, and who knows how it would how it would have turned out. Just a year after this, when my nephew started to become a victim of domestic violence as a teen, um, I started to hang around more in my hometown because I wanted to protect my nephew, and my mother did too. And we, I guess you'd say, strategized how to do that. And, but yeah, a year after this, uh, due to my stepfather saying, "I'm gonna get that boy and fix him," I knew what that meant. and my mother did too. So instead of fighting initially, immediately, and putting up a resistance to Ira's plan to get custody of my nephew, my mother and I just sort of worked around that situation. And it wasn't exactly safe ultimately because a year later I ended up in a mental ward because I had threatened to kill him. Not my nephew, my stepfather. And I told my therapist that and told her circumstances, and she's like, "Yeah, you need to get out of there, and I'm gonna have to commit you." She didn't say that. She just called and they committed me. But not sure how I got on that rant.
IT, uh, get a vehicle.
Oh, vehicle. The Aftermath Foundation. So during this time, people were sending money, and it was a long, drawn out GoFundMe because I didn't post a lot. I was very embarrassed to post my GoFundMe. I also felt like posting the GoFundMe on the official Aftermath supporters group was going to get me a lot of negative attention, which the the one time, or yeah, I posted twice. The second time I posted, someone messaged me and was very nasty. Trying said, "Oh, are you really an ex-Scientologist?" They were afraid that OSA was making GoFundmes and funneling money out of the supporters group. So, but even so, even though I understood that, it hurt because I was asking for help and I didn't want to ask for help. It was some supporters that like just sort of like, I mean, kind of twisted my arm. They're like, "Look, you got cancer. You need help. You need to be able to go take care of your medical shit. No one's going to have a problem with helping you." And I just didn't believe it. And I was partially right and partially wrong. The GoFundMe sat for months before really it got funded. And so as a result, I wasn't able to get uh, a vehicle that was super reliable because at a certain point, I'm getting $10 here, $20 there, and that's allowing me to eat. That's all that was really doing. And as I couldn't work, I had massive pain going all up and down the right side of my body. I had massive lower back pain. I my We're all adults here. My testicle and my vesicle connecting it to was cut by an inch, and so the weight of the gonad was pulling on a whole nerve branch, actually three different nerve branches, and so it was constant inflammation all up and down my right side. Um, and even driving in a vehicle hurt, but I needed a vehicle in order to go to New Orleans, come to here to New Orleans, and get doctors to evaluate me because in Lake Charles, where I had the initial surgery, they didn't want to work on me anymore. And it's one of the, I don't know if it's a doctor thing, if anyone knows anything about medical stuff, but they wanted to wait and wait and wait. And I didn't have time. I didn't feel I had time to wait. I felt my body was saying, "Hey, you're dying. You need to go do something about this." And um, that was the angle that two ladies in particular who were part of the supporters of the aftermath contacted me directly, and they had cancer survivors and deaths in their family, and they were very serious and very um, just direct that it was something that I needed to do. I felt guilty for creating a GoFundMe. Um, Aaron was very specific about, like I'll post the GoFundMe, but let me post it, and I'll make sure that people are aware of it. And but I did not feel comfortable posting in the group, And the one time that I posted after the initial post, I get uh it was just one person, but that one person like making a comment on a thread in the Aftermath supporters group, everyone now is suspicious. Everyone now is wondering, is this guy just another one of these people who wants money because they were a Scientologist? And I knew that was going to happen. That's why I didn't want to do it. Um, the person, to her credit, after she messaged me and said some very nasty things, and I explained to her, my situation, and then she confirmed it. She found the video. I mean, I don't know why she just jumped to that conclusion that I'm just some sort of a con guy, but she was very apologetic and she wanted to donate money, and I didn't take it. I didn't want her money because the way I felt was that, hey, if that was your initial gut reaction, then go with it. And maybe that's a little what they call in Scientology service facsimile. Like in real world terms, it's like making someone wrong or letting someone smell their own shit. Um, Hubbard, I don't know what you mean by go back to the org. I still don't know what you mean by that. This is 2017. Orgs and years. I went to the Clearwater wrap of season two, uh, the wrap of season two of the Aftermath, and I met some of the ex people that were on the show, and mostly hung out with Never End people. Um, I probably did, Hubbard. I probably did video it, and it's probably in my folders. But I'm just not. Maybe you're talking about the time I went to the Baton Rouge org to see Dominic and was greeted by an Esso terminal who it was pretty clear that they had cameras, and as soon as they saw me walk in, they sent in the Esso terminal because it was the only person in the building that I didn't know personally. And I'm an SP, so they didn't want me infecting them with PTSness. And the Sea Org terminal is so OT that they can't be affected by PTSness essentially because they've known and learned how to shatter suppression. Um, yeah, Mirdo Chico. Why make the needless assumption in the first place without trying to confirm? Um, that was my point of view as well, and I felt very ashamed, humiliated in that community because, like I said, the comments, they're like, yeah, we don't know. I mean, he's only done one episode with Aaron, and we don't know how he's doing. We don't know what he's doing. He looks scraggly. Um, and maybe he's a drug addict, and I mean just on and on and on. Like it's like I knew that was going to happen. It's why I didn't want to do a GoFundMe. I didn't want the fucking uh, scrutiny. I don't need to be scrutinized. I just some people had convinced me that it was okay to ask for help, and I finally was willing to accept it, which was fucking hard all on its own. And then for someone, even that one person was just enough to make me want to just shut the whole damn thing down. Um, and ultimately, it was two people who had donated uh, because, and this is what they told me. They said, I can't believe, both of them said this, we can't believe that you haven't gotten the help that you need. Why are you not getting the help you need? Here, $2,000. And another person, I'm not going to name their names, but one of them was a former Scientologist as well and got sucked in a similar way. They he they both donated and kept the the GoFundMe, but like I said, by that time, and because it was so spread apart, I wasn't able to, for 5 grand, I could have gotten a vehicle that I probably still have today. But I had at the end of it about $1,500, and I was able to get a car, called it Johnny Five, and and it was a BMW 325i. It needed lots of work, but it was the only thing I could afford, and and I had to do a lot of work on it all the time to keep it running. But it was something that would run, and I could go places.
And a friend of mine told me there was an opening at the school board for IT, but it's miles and miles and miles from, I mean, anywhere where I'm at. So I do need a vehicle. Um, I wanted to thank Rob and Michelle and for their very generous
I said I wasn't going to say their names. I said it in the video.
donations. Like, I mean, that's, to me, that's like $1 million in my, you know, in my pocket. But I'm not quite there yet. I still need another couple $100, maybe $1,000 to get a vehicle that I can depend on. I've been looking at the market, and there's some vehicles here in the, you know, $1,500 to $2,000 range. And of course, I've still got to get my tax title and license and registration and transfer my insurance and all that. So, and that all has to be done within a certain period of time after I purchase the vehicle. So, um, every little bit helps. And I hope that the little girl next door story is inspiring to you. Because it really is true. One person can make all the difference, and I hope everybody.
Borderline. Oh, what's up, SP? I thought you were asking what is SPs. Sorry. Yeah, one person. Again, back to this point that poet preempted. Um, One person can really make a difference. It's so crazy. You hear that in school. I did. You hear it in movies. It's, a theme. And you think, wow, what an interesting thing to experience. Or what if I experienced that? And not everyone experiences it, I don't think. Um, but I can now say that I've experienced that, and it came from such an unlikely source because she's so anti-social and socially, I don't want to say awkward. She's not incapable or awkward about it. It's just that she does not like people. She doesn't like talking to people, even her friends. Throughout her whole life, she just didn't, you know, like to talk. And for her to like just spill all that, you know, I guess a near-death experience can, really uh, fundamentally change what a person is willing to do.
That subscribes regularly, you know, watches my videos. Uh, you're all very special, and you just don't know how much it you might affect someone in a positive way. And all you have to do is be yourself, really. So, uh, namaste and live long and prosper, and much love to everybody out there in YouTube land. Live long and prosper. Hello.
So that's that was the girl next door, and how I experienced one person. You know, she said that I made a difference in her life. I had no clue. No clue. But at the same time, she made an enormous difference in my life just by telling me. Um, as far as help and asking for help, um, those two women that kind of sought me out on the after supporters of the aftermath. After the video I did with Aaron, were very, I don't know how to say it other than motherly. Like they had this motherly, maternal instinct that, you know, they found a way to get a hold of me. And it was while I was in Jackson, Mississippi. It was right after I left uh, Sulphur, where I was staying with Ira and my mother. And it was not long after I did the interview with Aaron, and my stepfather Ira was just, he had had enough. He's like, I don't give a shit about this Scientology crap. You're being lazy. You need to go to work. You got to pay your child support. Um, you can't afford your trailer. Um, and you just need to get off your ass and do something. And I'm fucking sick of it. Da, 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 da. And it was starting to get to a point to where it was going to come to some kind of a confrontation. And I knew where I was going. I called my brother Mark, who was I've spoken about before. He was dyslexic, um, and Ira used to beat him with books. And I just called Mark and I said, "Hey man, can you give me a ride to Jackson?" Uh, and clutch, you know, he's like, "Yep, I'll be there." And what time you want to leave? It was super early. I was like, I'd like to leave by 6 or 7 in the morning, and he was there, and Ira was freaking out. Well, where do you think you're going? You're not gonna make it. You're not gonna make it. You're making a mistake, and you're not gonna realize it until it's too late. You don't know what kind of mistake you're making. And my brother Mark, completely stoic, standing always in between me and Ira. It's exactly why I called him because uh, Mark knows Ira, and he didn't engage with Ira. He was just there as sort of a stoic steward and a protector and transporter of me to uh, Jackson, Mississippi. And when we arrived there, he he got to visit with Travis's parents, which was a first time thing for him, and it was really, I think, was a healing thing for him because he got to meet the brother that he was told was dead when he was a child. You know, they told him that Travis died. My other brother Maynard knew that he was alive, but they didn't tell Mark that Travis was alive. They told him he was dead. And so when I found out about Travis, he found out that he had been lied to about his half brother. Um, and it upset him a lot, still to this day. So, um, oh, Mock, I thought Ira meant Earth, Ira coming from Indian. Um, yeah, I sent Hubbard to the hole. I sure did. I sent you to the hole, dude. Um, so the reset thing, let me see if this is relevant. Do you want to live in a wog world?
But I will have.
Just some clips of, I did 5 updates throughout the entire um, GoFundMe, and I have some of those. Um, this one's talking about the Clearwater event.
A long time. And let me tell you that
I can break that down another
15
time.
months after post-op, I want to do something. At least I am in.
But these
By
were
the way, he says
videos
this is a good thing. And
were
I'm pretty sure I
thanking
know of one
people
person.
for helping uh, the one that here's the one from April.
You need a website. You need some graphics.
So I was offering services at the time because I had my computer, and in addition, in exchange for donations, I was willing to build people's websites if they had hosting and stuff like that. Um, and oh wow, yeah, I was showing examples of some of my work at the time, what I had on my see, for hire, web dev, special effects, video producer, PA, whatever. Like I was trying to, you know, really uh, get the idea across that, like, look, I'm not um, Aaron at otresearchgroup.com. That must have been one of Aaron's email addresses. Um, I was really trying to show people that I'm not just looking for a handout. I didn't really have much uh, to work with. I mean, um, reset is what I'm looking for. The last one, there's an intro that would be a great outro for this video. Because like Jane said, and others of you have said, you're okay watching this, even though it might make you emotional or cry because it has a happy ending. Everyone loves a happy ending. Okay, so there's 4 out of 5. Haven't even thought about the music to play. Let me just do a quick search for reset. All right, here we go. Reset April, reset update. Thank you video. Here we go. So the beginning of this video, yeah, trust but verify. Also, vino in veritas. Sober man's thoughts, drunk man's words. I don't drink anymore, so I don't believe I don't believe in vino veritas is like 100% accurate. But for some people it is. So this video.
Don't you want to live in a wog world?
And I really don't want to hear the whole wog world. It's a racist term. The reason it was called that was because that is what you're up against when you leave. It's very much a Nazi type situation. You do not want to be outside and be a Jew in Nazi Germany any more than you want to be a wog outside of Scientology. So, that is the context in which I am using it. And yes, it is a racist word, but there is a reason. It should shock you. It should make you feel uncomfortable. That was the whole point of Wog World. It should make you feel uncomfortable. I'm not the only one who's experienced all this. So this was the thank you video after I got the GoFundMe done, and I had made a vision board with the kids, and we had made all kind of fun stuff. Red birds, and Stone drew. He was 5 years old at the time. Stella drew a bunch of these birds and clouds, and I drew a peace sign and yin yang and all kinds of stuff. But this was sort of a little creative collaboration, and it features, I don't know if you can hear her singing. This was sort of my little creative tribute to everyone who had helped me, and it features a song from a band that I was in called Cortez Del Mar. And this is an unreleased track, and it's very rough. It was a demo, but it's still a good song. It's called Somewhere. So check it out. We'll watch this. This will be our outro song. There we go.
Don't you want to live in a wog world? You want to live in wog world? Is that where you want to be? Wog world? You want to live outside in the wog world?
She got up, called into work, said how much is one life worth?
In China, the sky is kind of pretty. Okay, play for me.
Sick and tired of this, never realized life had such pretty risks.
That's it?
Said it's over now,
5 seconds.
close the curtain, take my final bow. Said what I need to say without any words get in the way.
So apparently, some of the things that I was talking about for in the video. So I didn't realize that, and I forgot. It's been years really since I even looked at or thought about this. Um, I don't know if it's apparent, but it was a tough couple of years. I was about in about every Roman music. Yeah, yeah. That was a song that never got released called Somewhere. The lyrics I love. There's a friend of mine, Charles Lyons. Um, she got up, called into work, said, "How much is one life worth? Sick and tired of this. Never realized I had such pretty wrists." Said it's over now. Close the curtain, take my final bow. Said what I need to say without any words to get in the way. I didn't see the point in trying to save your life. Not this time. Been through this 1,000 times. I hope you did what you thought was right. This act is over. I'm just getting older. Uh, there ain't much left of this town, except a bar stool and a bottle and a few familiar faces while I drown. Saw your mom the other day. She won't look at me. She just turned and walked away, and I guess I'd do the same. I didn't see the point in trying to save your life, not this time. You've been through this 1,000 times. I hope you did what you thought was right. And then the refrain at the end is somewhere over the rainbow. Way up high. I know bluebirds can fly there, so why can't I? I loved that band. And there's one album that is released. It's called You Did This to Yourself, 2005. That's when I joined the band. And a lot of good tunes on there. If you're into the genre that we were in, which was called either country noir or Americana. Well, happy 4th of July. As you can see, I'm kind of emotional right now, so I didn't expect that, but when it happens, you just gotta let it happen. I will I'll see you guys soon, and for those of you who are celebrating Independence Day, uh, happy 4th of July, and cook some good food. That's my favorite part of 4th of July. Barbecues, good food, and family and friends around. But yeah, you're welcome, of course. Um, I'll continue to do this, so long as I find, it's a good. I think Jane, yeah, it's it's easier now to look at this stuff in hindsight because, man, while that was going on, and as I see other exes come out and they're going through things, they're angry, they're frustrated, they feel left out, they feel forgotten. There's all these big figures that they may feel like just brushed aside, and I understand that feeling 100%. It's like trying to swim up the Mississippi River, and it's amazing to see more people coming out and speaking. Um, and it's emotional, but I'm glad that I can look back at this now and I'm not living it anymore. So, um, namaste to everybody. And that was today's self analysis. And you're clear to undock, Hubbard. Commodore. Div 7 is being commeved as we speak. Um, Customary Xenu. Special shout out to Tish. Still have my blender. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day.